Hi, I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And welcome to episode 38 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 38 of City Hunter, titled Shinjuku Honor All the Way, The Kimono Beauty Wants to Be My Student, Part 2.
This one also feels pretty self-contained, even though it's a part 2.
Well, yeah, if it weren't for the recap, you would almost think it was its own separate episode if you didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that we are continuing on with the story from last week, and that things haven't exactly resolved themselves, because, as we've discussed several times on this podcast, there are several times when we get to the end of an episode of City Hunter, and the bad guy of the week has just run off, and we assume that the problem has been resolved, and this episode answers the question, well, what if that didn't solve everything?
That's why it's a part 2.
Exactly. And it's just funny that this is the one that we get a part 2 to, in that there's plenty of other cases where I could think, you know, we probably should have followed the guy after he ran out of the room to see if he actually stopped criming.
Yeah, or we didn't even, ask, hey, did he stop criming? Or was that enough? Or, oh no, just these two people are happy, but no, there's still a guy out there.
Yeah, did somebody skip town?
You want to do something about that? And, we just don't address that. So this time, that's a thing. We don't talk about it for a while, until halfway through the episode, but he's still a thing.
So, much like this episode, we'll go ahead and get right into it by starting with a recap. So, for the recap, listen to last week's episode.
That's exactly the description in Cromartie High, where they say, oh yeah, the main character, he was such a badass, that's why he ended up at this school. You wanna know what he did? Read the manga. It's honestly, mean.
But that's honestly one of the things I love about Cromartie High, because it can do that so well in terms of the humor.
It did that 2 or 3 times, and I was like, oh my god, this is gold, and it's incredible. And actually, yes, you do have to go read the manga, and the answer is incredible.
Funny enough, both Cromartie and City Hunter are available on Retro Crush.
Yeah.
So, to go ahead and politely recap. So, last week, we ran into a problem at a bar that was getting torn down by some Yakuza guys who were trying to come up. We had a girl by the name of Kikunosuke who got in the middle of this and wants Ryo to take her under his wing as her student. Things happened, and we found out that the guy who's running the whole organization is Kikunosuke's dad.
He's the crime boss. He's the crime father. He is the Japanese godfather of this particular crime family.
Making Kikunosuke a Yakuza princess.
Well, on top of that, we realized, oh, I'm so dumb. It took till the end of the episode, but Kikunosuke, the Nosuke part of a name is a masculine name, and I feel like that's a thing that if we were Japanese, we would have already picked up on that.
Well, I thought it was weird last week, but we'll get into that more when that actually gets revealed.
Yeah, well, no, it's not that it's not revealed. It's that, yes, you'll hear more about it at the end of the episode, but if you're a Japanese person, you already are like, hey, why does she have such a boyish name?
Well, I was already thinking that last week, because you think about characters named, Shinnosuke.
Yes.
The Nosuke ending on a name is very masculine.
Yes.
So that's something we should have picked up on from last week, since we've been versed enough in the culture. So that's on us.
And that's my dumb fault, but now we're gonna tell you about it in a little bit.
Yes. So, we get to the end of the recap. Danjiro, Kikunosuke's dad, asks Ryo formally, will you take my daughter as your student? Oh, by the way, the guy whose fault all of this was, he ran off at the end of last week's episode, and he's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, so he could just do this again. And he will.
Oh, he will. So this week we start off the episode with the continuation from last week, in that Ryo has in fact agreed, Kikunosuke, okay, you can be my student.
But there's not really any teaching of any variety happening.
Well, because in general, even going back to last week, there was nothing Ryo could actually teach her, because all of this is in Kikunosuke's head.
Right, there's these rules for this
code of honor.
This code of honor that, Ryo doesn't actually know anything about, but she sure does think he does. So he's here, he's said, okay, fine, you can live in our home, because your dad's a Yakuza boss, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. It's funny, he's taking a bath, right, and she opens the door, and he doesn't yet know who's behind the door, but his answer is not immediately just, oh, yes, come right on in, which you would think he would just do, but he's actually like, nope, I'm still in here. My assumption would have been, oh, if a lady's coming in, I'm just gonna let the lady come in, I don't care.
Well, because see here, I think there's some truth, because in a little bit, Ryo will admit he is afraid of what a Yakuza boss could in fact do to him, And I think there's some truth to that here because, granted, in any other situation, Ryo knows there's only 2 women in his apartment and then him. So it's only 3 people.
Right.
Three's company too. And what's happening here... And what's happening here is a prime opportunity for him to try and get Mokkori time, which you would figure he would normally do. But there's 2 things on the table here. One, it's Kaori, which he's trying to lie to himself that he's not into that. Spoiler alert, he is. And 2, it's Kikunosuke, but if he's afraid of what Kikunosuke's dad might do to him if he finds out that he acted improperly with his daughter, then he doesn't want to think about that.
Yeah, but it also kinda sorta doesn't stop him when she does things that might be a little lewd with him. Like, she doesn't know that that's what she's doing. She's just like, oh, well, I'm the student, he's the teacher, I'm gonna come in and wash his back. And Ryo just goes, oh, yes, please, go ahead. Like, he's pretending it's just the noble thing to do when reality is he's just gonna have a woman touch his naked back. Like, that's all he's in it for. But Kaori's like, oh no, you fucking don't.
Well, what's great is right before Kaori busts in, when she hears that this is about to happen, he does this great, again, this is another episode for amazing facial reactions from Ryo, when he's kind of laughing to himself like, hee, I'm about to get some action. He looks like he's got this really goofy face, and then immediately in the next frame, he's got this stoic Kenshiro.
Serious is up.
Fist of the North Star face. But then when he sees Kaori come in with the hammer, he's got this amazing, like, scared face with this awesome shading on...
Super hyper detailed.
Yeah.
Terrified, screaming, tongue out of his mouth. You see his uvula. Like, it's wild.
Like, it could be a painting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kaori comes in and busts him with the 100-ton hammer. She's wearing the pink Ghostbusters outfit this week, not the brown one.
The pink real Ghostbusters outfit. She looks like she might just be Janine dressed in her Ghostbusters jumpsuit. But Janine's done that once, right? Like, she's gotten
more
into
than once, yeah.
She's gotten into a real Ghostbuster suit. She
But
just
see-
looks like pink Janine to me.
See, now you're just making me want to see somebody draw art of Kaori with Janine's glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's never gonna happen. We don't ever get the fan art requests we want.
There's only so many people who listen to this. I can think of 2.
And thank you to the 2 of you, plus however many else of you there are. Thank you.
There's not any more than 2, Josh. The 2 might just be us.
Look,
Okay, 4. We can inflate it to 4 people if we include ourselves.
Look, let me live, alright?
Okay.
In any case, aside from trying to wash Ryo's back, Kikunosuke is also going around the apartment just doing various chores. She's dusting, she's doing the dishes, and they're asking, are you sure that this is okay, Ryo? Like, should she be doing all this? And Ryo's like, probably. I mean, think of all the stuff her dad could do to me if I don't let her do stuff.
Like, literally crucify him and light him on fire, or throw him into the ocean with a big old weight around his hands and cement block around his feet.
Real New York gangster stuff. I don't know that Japanese Yakuza type gangsters would do that.
Well, he definitely thought mob family. Like,
maybe
crime family. And that throw him into Tokyo Bay.
Ryo just got done watching The Godfather.
I
is what
guess.
happened. So Ryo's having this conversation with Kaori about why he's accepting all of this stuff and is trying to be basically allowing or admitting of Kikunosuke being around. And so far he's being okay, but then Kaori's like, okay, oh, by the way, she dropped her bra. Here, hold on to it for a second.
And then the real Ryo comes out and he's like, oh yes, I will, thank you. And that's exactly when Kaori brings out the hammer. Like,
no, she doesn't bring up the hammer this time. She just socks it.
That's right. Straight up entrapment, though.
That was entrapment. Like, I'm not cool with Ryo's fetish for stealing lingerie at all.
But Kaori stole the lingerie just to entrap him. That's what happened there.
I don't want to say he can't help himself, because I do believe on some level he can. But
when he knows, okay, I need to serious the hell up right now on a certain level, this was not a moment where he felt like he needed to be serious. I think this felt like a game to him at that particular moment in time.
Like, this is one of the few cases where I wonder whether or not he likes it when Kaori beats him up.
I don't know if he enjoys the part where she beats him up. I do think he likes getting a rise out of her, though, and I think I think he thinks that much is funny.
But after the blatant entrapment has taken place, Kikunosuke informs the 2 of them, hey, I've made the beds, it's time for bed, let's go ahead and head off to sleep for the night. And she's gotten rid of Ryo's bed, like she's just put
like
it
the Western
upright.
Bed. Ryo has a Western style bed.
And so does Kaori.
Yeah, they have Western style. All this furniture is really Western. Kikunosuke has put this up, like you said, against the wall, and instead has laid out a rather large floor futon intended for 2 people. And also the really traditional kind of Japanese pillows that are barely pillows, and they're like these wood blocks with a little bit of cushion right on top of them.
Like very old school.
Yeah, and it's intended for 2 people, for a couple. Which the immediate thought is, oh, well, this bed is for Ryo and Kikunosuke because they're like student and teacher and they have to shadow each other. And Ryo's really banking on this idea. He's like, let's go!
And Kaori's like, hell no! And hits him with the divine punishment hammer, the Tenchu hammer. And gets taken aback immediately by Kikunosuke being like, oh, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. This is absolutely for you and Mr. Saiba. Immediately, Kaori turns beet red. Just the brightest red, and so quick, too.
And they really try to deny this, that, oh, no, don't you get the wrong idea. But Kikunosuke is like, no, you two are, I can just look at you and tell you're really, really meant for each other. She comes up with this description of Mount Fuji and
Evening Primrose.
So I kind of had to look this up. Like, I figured, okay, that's clearly a metaphor, but I kind of did a quick Google search, and like, sure enough, during certain points in the year, primrose grow out kinda sorta near Mount Fuji. And so there's just so many photographs of these luxurious scenes of a gorgeous Mount Fuji off in the distance and hills covered in primrose. And so the allegory there is that these 2 things complement each other so well.
Which is exactly what she's trying to say. Like, with one look, I could tell that you 2 complement each other so well. Kaori, I could see immediately you are the woman for Ryo. And she's still blushing like anything, and Ryo's got this look of disbelief on his face, but I would almost swear for a second, because he's kind of smaller in the background, that he's almost blushing.
It's difficult to tell whether that's a blush or like the color leaves your face. Like there's a level of embarrassment or shock.
What immediately happens after that kind of backs that up is that he kind of falls backward, Pratt falls backwards and kind of breaks the 4th wall for a second, or at least is talking to himself like, why the hell would she get an idea like that? And then immediately goes hard into, hey, Kikunosuke, share the bed with me, come on in, yeah.
Well, he's really trying hard to either, like, he really thinks he means it, denying that he is in any way interested in Kaori and is really way more interested in Kikunosuke, or is trying to push the idea out of his head that he would have any feelings for Kaori and is trying to override it by, hurry up, let's just put this other woman in this bed and then I'm gonna stop thinking about it. It's one of those 2 things.
But both of them end up in the same thing, which is, why the F you lying? Because you know.
Yeah.
You know. We know what's going on in his head right now.
What's going on? What's going on? We haven't done that in a while, but every so often somebody tweets at me like, hey, remember what's going on? What's going on? And I'm like, oh, thank you that you're the one guy I'm talking to.
Like, I wish
when we're talking about who's listening to this.
Like, sidebar, because like on TikTok you see a lot of people making like city pop remixes of older Japanese songs.
You want somebody to remix it. What's going on? What's going on?
I wish somebody would. I wish
that Macross whatever bunch of numbers guy.
Yeah, he's gonna be in concert in September.
Oh, cool.
Anyway. So yeah, Ryo's trying to push the idea out of his head and push Kikunosuke into bed with him. Kaori's not having that, and she does this move that we see a lot throughout the series, which is wrapping him up in the futon
and just throwing him out the door.
And he's real upset.
He's just begging. He has to sleep on the couch wrapped in a futon. What a strange predicament.
Which goes one of 2 ways. He's either going to be claustrophobic or incredibly comfortable.
I know, I would be panicking.
Yeah, you would be panicking.
I have that sort of, I don't know what it is. It's not like I can't get out, but if I feel like the bed sheets are too tight, then I start to have this weird panic come up, and I start kicking, and I start breathing all heavy. I can't get out.
This is why I can't take you to trampoline parks with foam pits anymore.
No, because I feel like I'm drowning in the foam pit. It's terrifying. I don't know why. I know it's irrational. I know it's not actually going to kill me, but I'm so scared.
Ryo's not scared. scared, though. He's just upset he doesn't get any woman tonight.
Or a normal-ass bed.
That either. I would be more upset over that.
Yeah, that too.
As you get older, you value a good night's sleep more and more.
Well, it seems like, for some reason, there was also yet another full-size two-person futon in that apartment.
Which, again, sidebar, where did they come from? Did Kikunosuke go out and buy?
She bought two full-size, even though there's only 3 people in that apartment, she bought 2 full-size two-person futons, and now Kaori and Kikunosuke are sharing a two-person futon.
Yeah, so it's time for girl talk, right? And so, as Kikunosuke is relating, yeah, ever since I was 13 years old, I was brought up in the code, and that's all I've ever known. Kaori decides to ask the real questions, like, don't you ever get tired of wanting to follow the code? Isn't there something you want just for you that's not some idea your dad put in your head?
And she's like, okay, but don't laugh at this, because this is serious, alright?
No, it's cool.
Okay, so I just want to get on a merry-go-round. I want to eat some ice cream. I want to have some time with my boyfriend. So basically, she's just describing she wants to go on a date, like any girl would want to do. And then she blushes, and then she's like, don't look at me! And then she wraps herself up in the blanket and turns away, and Kaori's looking at her like, oh, she really is just a normal girl. Okay, I gotta do something about this, even if it kind of bothers me. Alright, fine.
So we cut to the next day at the mall, and I guess it's getting close to Christmas, because we see some decorations and some signage in the background showing that it's Christmas.
Otherwise, there is zero to do with Christmas in this episode. It's just, yeah, there's signage, and there's like a mannequin dressed in like some Santa wintry clothes. That's about it.
So we're near the changing room. Ryo and Kaori are kind of waiting for Kikunosuke, who is currently getting changed into a new outfit, and Ryo happens to comment, Kaori, why are you smiling so much right now? I don't like that.
Nothing.
Are you sure?
Nope. Hey, come on out, Kikunosuke. Mind you, Kikunosuke up until this point has been in this purple kimono, very traditional looking, and so the change is a big deal because you're going from super traditional to super modern and kind of cute.
She's wearing this kind of combination leggings mini skirt that's
very
modern.
It's a one-piece mini skirt too, so it's like a whole dress, but the skirt stops at the thighs.
Yeah, but she's got on like tights underneath.
Right.
And like the face Ryo makes right here, he just lights up. He's got this big ass Steven Universe smile on his face.
Big bean face. Don't you blame Cal Arts. It's been an anime forever.
Exactly. And he's just beaming. He's almost damn near crying at how happy he is to see her dressed like this. And she's kind of like, don't look at me.
But I'm gonna do it anyway.
And then Kaori's like, well, great. I love the outfit. You guys have the rest of the day to yourselves. Bye. And she just pieces out.
And Ryo is actually suddenly kind of weirded out. Why did she do that? Well, what do you want to do, Kikunosuke? And I guess she goes ahead and tells him, I just want to go to a theme park.
She just wants to go. She just wants to go to a merry-go-round.
I'm surprised she had the courage to tell him. Like, Kaori must have put it in her head, I guess. Just tell him. Just tell him you want to go. Just tell him.
Well, she says right there, right before she pieces out, like, now remember Kikunosuke, tell him whatever you want to do and he has to do it. So, yeah, she's kind of, like, given her this freedom to be like, today's your day, carte blanche, whatever you want. It's all about you today. And so they go to, I assume it's the theme park from a couple of episodes ago where Ryo was just there for the Ferris wheel and that was it.
Uh-huh.
And so they're there and they're on the merry-go-round and it's exactly how she's dreamed it. She's there with Ryo. She's got a vanilla cone in her hand. She's smiling, beaming with joy.
And Ryo's just kind of, well, it's what she wanted. It's not what I consider to be fun, but fine. Okay. Meanwhile, there's dudes in sunglasses and stupid hats and suits, and they're like, hey, that's the daughter of the mob boss.
Because remember, Kito is still a problem. And so he has sent dudes to go ahead and finish the job that they tried to start last week. And so yeah, these guys are there to try and mess with her. So one of the guys goes to the ride operator box where dude's not really paying attention, but he's reading a magazine.
And it just says Jump, so it's like Shonen Jump. The ride operator in the middle of operating this ride is reading comics, okay?
But specifically it's Jump, and City Hunter was in Shonen Jump.
Yes, this is not the first time that they've done the Shonen Jump joke either. They did that in like episode 1 or 2, something like that.
And actually that's not going to be the only callback to an earlier episode in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So dude gets rid of the ride operator and then he turns the crank up to super hella fast, and now everybody's just whipping around on the merry-go-round like,
The music speeds up too for some reason. You wouldn't think that would be affected by it, but just
it depends on the type of merry-go-round. If it's the older ones where the calliope music is timed out with the speed of the rotation, then yes.
Okay. The children are crying. Make it stop.
Too fast.
Too fast.
And so Ryo's like, okay, this is kind of a problem. I better find a way to slow this thing down. And then after a couple of rotations, he finds, oh wait, there's the switch. Crap. Okay.
I need to shoot it. Convenient that there's fireworks happening right this second. That's so great. Let's go.
And so he pulls out his Magnum, manages to shoot off one round to hit the button perfectly as a firework is going off, so nobody notices that he pulled out his gun, and thankfully that slows down the whole merry-go-round.
Meanwhile, Kaori has gone off and tried to have a conversation with Mob Boss Man.
Yeah, with Danjiro, Kikunosuke's father. So she has marched her ass all the way up to Hanafubuki headquarters, and she's like gearing up to like have a one-on-one with this guy, and one of the guys out front's trying to be like, hey, what are you doing here? And she's like, I gotta talk to your boss. And like she's trying to Karen her way in there a little bit.
A little bit.
And then luckily for her, Danjiro comes out front and is like, who are you? And she's like, oh, I work with Ryo. And he's like, oh, I like that guy.
Great. Well, let her go.
Hashtag free Kikunosuke. Like, let her be a girl.
And he's like, no. And she's like, why? But in the middle of that conversation, a drive-by happens. Holy shit! Just
like it's a legitimate conversation. Like, Kaori's doing what she believes is the right thing here by trying to talk to the dad and being like, come on, let your daughter have her own life. You've kind of been monopolizing what her whole childhood could have been. And then in the middle of trying to do this really nice things, Kito, the guy that we're worried about, set up this drive-by with Tommy guns. That's the weird part.
He's the guy who must be idolizing Western-style crime families, okay? Like, he really thinks...
Because, it's an older model car.
He really thinks that the Yakuza need to become the mob. Like, the real mob.
Like, did everybody just get The Godfather over there? Is that what happened? Everybody had just watched Godfather Part 2 or something?
I don't know. That guy did, though. That particular part of this crime family, of this Yakuza family, did.
So they start blasting, and everybody has to duck and cover. A couple of guys get hit. Danjiro dives and covers Kaori.
And he gets hit as well.
So unfortunately, they gotta take him to intensive care. Kaori doesn't go with him to the hospital. She runs her ass all the way over to the amusement park right when there's this tender moment that she's about to ruin, and I don't think she realizes this is what happened. But it's the end of the day. There's more fireworks going on. It's night. The what is it? Technicolor Light Parade has already happened to Disney or whatever.
The Main Street Electrical Parade.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And Kikunosuke is like, thank you so much for this beautiful memory that I can share today. But tomorrow, I will go back to training. I can avoid thinking about normal life from here on out. And Ryo takes the opportunity to be like, well, if that's the way you want to play it, let me give you one more good memory.
Now close your eyes.
And the face and the noise he makes right there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even so much for him so much as it is for the audience. Like, he does that really...
He opens his mouth so big.
He looks like a donkey.
So cartoony big.
And he goes in for the kiss, and he gets super close. Like, he's right up on it. And then immediately over the loudspeaker, Ryo!
Who gave her access to the amusement park PA system?
What's to say she didn't bum rush the office with the hammer? Like, I need the loudspeaker right now!
Yeah, I'm just saying she didn't have any consequences for those actions at all whatsoever for using the theme park's PA system.
Kaori Makimura, we're paging your older, more perverted son. If you are the older, more perverted son, please come to the front gate. But, like, what's funny about that, too, is that Ryo, as soon as he hears her calling his name, he covers his head.
Well, yeah, because he suspects, oh, God, she's coming, and she's coming with the hammer. That's why she's yelling for me. That's exactly what she's yelling about, because I was about to steal this kiss. Well, now I'm gonna stop, because I don't want to get hit. See, this is why when you say, oh, maybe there's some part of him that likes this, I'm not so sure he does. I think
some days it's a little of both.
I don't
like,
know.
he kind of likes it, but at the same time, he's like,
no.
This is a weird thing that I've set up. This is a weird dynamic. Even I have to admit that to myself.
So then Kaori runs up to him. Like, they finally meet up.
And she's telling them, hey, Kikunosuke, your dad got shot. We gotta go to the hospital right now.
Is he okay? Well, they say he'll pull through, but still, I'm real sorry.
And for the first time in like 3 episodes, I think, we see the Mini again.
At least 3 episodes. It's been a good while. And we still haven't done what we said we were gonna do, where we count how many Mini Coopers have been destroyed. And thankfully, the Mini Cooper's been missing for so long that we haven't had a need to count them.
Right. Like last week, and even the week before, I think we were only seeing the Fiat. So I imagine it was taking him a while to get the new Mini.
I don't know about that. I feel like we saw the Mini and nothing happened to it, and he's just not been the recent driver. Or sometimes he is the driver, but he's the driver of the Fiat. Sometimes.
Like, we've come to the conclusion by this point
they share cars.
Yeah, they share both cars. Except, more often than not, he will be driving the Mini.
And more often than not, Kaori will drive the Fiat. So I think those 2 cars, they belong to one another. And then sometimes they're just like, hey, let me drive your car today. And they're like, fine, okay, go ahead.
Now, of course, they need to make it to the hospital because, yes, if you find out that your dad's in critical condition, you're going to want to get there immediately. What's weird about it is when they pull up to the front of the hospital, right? The Mini is not a big car.
Mini Coopers are not large vehicles, and I understand that. That having been said, when it pulls up in front of the hospital, you can see like a couple of people standing outside the hospital.
For a sense of scale.
And the Mini Cooper rolls in, and it's so little.
It's like
so little.
It's the size of a bumper car. Like, I don't get how it got so small. And then Kikunosuke gets out of it, and it's like, oh my god, I didn't realize she was so short.
It's so little.
Like, the scale is way
it's
off.
It's a clown car, Josh. Like, it's so much smaller than a Mini Cooper. It is more like a smart car, maybe. I don't know. Even a smart car, I'm like,
Like, smart cars aren't that short, though.
No, they're not.
For whatever reason, the scale is just so off in this one shot. And it's hilarious. Because it's like, imagine if Ryo had gotten out and it was clown car size, so he's just giant.
3 people are in that car. And again, I know it's a 2-door car, but it still seats 4 people because you just pull the seat back and somebody gets in the back.
4 people or 1 umibozu.
One Umibozu. We've seen scenes of Umibozu getting in the Mini Cooper and his head is up against the roof, like kind of protruding, like the roof kind of bends around his head.
Yeah.
It is a small car, but this was too small. It was just too small.
So they get to the room where all of the Yakuza lackeys are standing watch outside, and she goes to check on her dad. You know, he's got the oxygen mask on. And for the first time in her life, she starts admitting how she really feels about him.
Right, and actually, it makes a lot of sense, and it is kind of concerning. Like, he raised her from being a real little kid to be following the stupid code, and on top of that, he clearly was trying to raise her as a boy. And so all the kids...
Yeah, so we see this flashback.
All the kids, when she was younger, were calling her a tomboy and making fun of her and kind of roughing her up, and she's walking away crying, and there's her dad down at the end of the street, and she's like, Dad, help me. No, boys don't cry.
Clearly referring to her as a boy and hits her.
With a fist. He hits her in the head with his fist.
And that's all it takes to get across this idea without saying more words than, you know, boys don't cry. Clearly, this is a man who's so steeped in patriarchal society, he wanted a boy.
Yeah.
And when he didn't get a boy, he said, well, screw that.
I'm gonna raise you like a boy. And she admits, too, there in the hospital, like, he raised me like that, and he never comforted me.
And I've always held a grudge against him for it. Or I used to.
But you know what? I got to go on a date and get on the merry-go-round and eat some ice cream and watch some fireworks one time. I think everything's okay. And I'm just sitting here like, no, this guy tried to mold you into somebody that you weren't, and then called you a boy, and then hit you in the head with his fist. No.
Like, we don't, it's the 80s, we don't have the time for it, we don't have the awareness for it. She is only beginning to maybe
Also, it's Japan.
We are only maybe beginning to scratch the surface of the fact that she's got childhood trauma.
Right, and then she's just gonna accept it, like, yep, that was okay that thing happened to me.
And the answer is no. None of that was okay. Like, if you, of your own volition, wanted to raise yourself as a boy, good on you, live your truth. But otherwise, that being forced upon you is not cool.
Right.
So after she said all this stuff to her dad, probably not even that long after, we got two dudes coming in to finish the job and take out her dad. And in a very familiar scene, we see both of them pull out silenced revolvers and empty both revolvers into what we assume is Danjiro's body.
But you can already tell, no it isn't. Like, we've seen this done before in, like, the first couple of episodes.
In episode 1, yeah.
Where Ryo has set up, I don't know, ketchup or something.
It was probably ketchup from the cafeteria in the hospital.
Underneath this blanket, and Ryo, again, is just hiding under the bed. Haha, fooled you! We got the dude in another room.
And they open the door, and there's Kikunosuke with Kaori watching over the dad. And so Ryo puts the screws to one of the guys, like, look, if you don't talk, I'm gonna make you a new mouth right now. Who put you up to this? He's like, it was Kito! It was Kito!
Oh, hell no! So Kikunosuke takes off. She's like, I'm gonna take care of this. I hate my dad, but also I love my dad. So I'm gonna go make sure that things are set right now. John Wicks her way down into...
back to the headquarters.
Tito or whatever his name is.
Kito, yeah.
Sure, Tito.
Yes, one of the Jacksons. So after busting back into the place that she knows how to get to, because this is kind of her place, her dad owns this place, she busts into the office where Kito is there, and now he's bald from last episode. I don't know why that happened. He's just suddenly bald now. She gives him this bit about there's only two things that are absolute in this world, and that's honor and virtue. Have at you. And then she starts, yeah, like you said, John Wicking the guards, and she's like using judo and her parasol to take these guys down.
And then pulls out her hidden blade.
You know, she's got the knife, and she's like, rah, with the knife.
But then the guy shoots her in the shoulder, and she's like,
Actually, no, she didn't make a noise when she got shot.
Well, she winced.
I mean,
she grabbed her shoulder and she winced.
But she didn't, like, yell or yelp or anything. Like,
Josh,
she took
this
it
is
like
an
a
audio-only podcast, so if I say, that means she's grabbing her shoulder and she's wincing in pain, okay? Because I can't make a noise for something that doesn't make a noise.
I'm just saying she took it like a champ.
She wasn't pretending she wasn't hurt, okay?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, she could have taken it way worse. Like, she showed some real fortitude there, the way she got shot in the shoulder.
Because I'm pretty sure she made a noise.
I mean, if it was me, I would have made a noise.
I'm pretty sure she made a noise.
I don't think she made a noise.
Do you want me to look it up right now?
If you want.
Go look it up right now. She's making lots of noises. Yes, Josh, she made a noise when she got shot like a person would do.
I'm just saying she still took it in pretty good stride.
Well, I mean, yeah, she was still willing to keep going, because she's still like, I still got this knife, and then Ryo is like, you do not need to do that, and then comes in and shoots his gun, once again doing the Ryo thing, his bullet down the other dude's barrel, shabams!
And let's not forget, footsteps just started playing. Actually, you bring up a good point there, too. Not only does she get shot in the shoulder, she didn't drop the knife. Because that's the hand that's holding the knife.
Right.
Was her right shoulder. She never dropped the knife.
No, she was committed. She was very committed to this idea of, I'm gonna get the guy that tried to do in my dad twice.
I mean, that's kind of badass. I'm not gonna lie. And the thing about it is, yeah, Ryo has blown up this guy's gun, and he doesn't even need to do much else. All he has to do is bring up to this guy, hey, just real quick, you know you botched the hit on your own boss, right? There's probably dudes coming for you right now.
Right now.
And then he just runs.
Again.
Yeah. And that's the last we see of him for the episode. We are literally ending his story the same way we ended it last week.
Like, you want to check on that guy? Because last time he did that, he tried to murder the family. Again. You don't want to check on that? Oh, okay.
But yeah, Ryo tells her, look, there's no need to dirty your hands on a guy like him, especially with the way I saw you, like, beaming at the theme park. And she's like, no, I don't want an ordinary life. I don't need it. She's lying to herself.
You can only hope that she's lying to herself and that she isn't actually brainwashed into believing this. But I mean, thankfully, there is some other kind of ceremony that is coming up.
This looks like it's some kind of induction ceremony, like she's going to be risen up in rank to officially take over the Hanafubuki group.
Or at least be not a member, all Yakuza families have ranks, and there's like subgroups within families. So you figure at least maybe she might be doing some of that there, but...
Like head of her own, the Fubuki group under the Hanafubuki umbrella.
Right.
So she's walking up, she's in, like almost funeral clothes is what I call them, the very dark, drab, black and gray kimono set, or not kimono,
Yeah, it's a kimono.
Okay, yeah, I guess in her case, yeah, it would be a kimono. And she goes up in front of her dad, and the thing that would never happen in real life, at least not without a whole lot of therapy, happens. The dad tells her, hey, look, I just realized what was wrong.
I realized after 18 years you're a girl.
And that's okay.
That's okay. Whoops, my bad. I don't know how I didn't know.
I mean, look, give him credit for affirming her gender.
Okay, great.
It took him a while.
He could have done that much sooner.
Agreed. And then he gives her the best gift any dad could do. He dissolves the Yakuza organization for her. And literally, yeah, like everybody in the group is like, yay!
It's weird how none of them were shocked. I wonder if he already prepped them beforehand. Like, look, I'm disbanding us, but I'm gonna surprise her with this. So you guys need to just don't say anything until I say something.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing of like, he knew he was gonna do this and then let her think that he was going to make her throw her whole life away. Like, she's about to get technically bad news and then she suddenly gets great news. Like, why would you call somebody in knowing you're gonna give them good news and then make them freak out like that?
You know, that happened to me at a job once.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that, literally this week.
Yeah, they were gonna give me a raise, and they took me into this room, and they started talking to me about some perceived thing that I might have done wrong, even though I hadn't actually done that, and I was about to spill the beans, like, I don't actually know what I'm doing! I'm so sorry! And they're like, well, I'm gonna stop you right there. No, we're promoting you. And I was like, oh my god, why would you do that? That's awful, and apparently it happened to like 5 other people, too. So, okay, I guess that happens sometimes, but in this case, it wasn't even like that.
Yeah, it's actually great news. You don't have to hold yourself to a code anymore. And this is the icing on the cake here. You know what? I realize you're my daughter. I'm disbanding the organization. You don't have to hold to the code. And I guess I can call you by your actual name.
Which was just Kikuno the whole time. It's not a boy's name, Kikunosuke. It's just Kikuno.
That was her actual name this whole time. Like, even from last episode up till now, we have been under the impression that her actual given name was Kikunosuke, but no, that's the name her dad made her answer to, which is really screwed up.
That's really messed up, yeah.
Also, Ryo and Kaori are here.
Because I guess they were in on it too. Like, hey, congratulations, you're free to live your life the way you want to now. Now, mind you, if it were me, yeah, I would be happy, but I would also be like, you mean I wasted all of this time on my life? Probably didn't even go to school? Like, did she go to school?
Well, we know for the last 5 years she's been out in the Kanto region, maybe just up in the mountains, like not actually learning things.
She doesn't know anything, Josh.
She needs a GED. She needs an education.
She has nothing right now, and so she's probably pretty happy, but now it's like, oh, well, shit, what do I do now?
I mean, technically, she's only 18. She's got her whole 20s to figure it out.
Oh no, I understand that, but also now she's got to use those 20s to catch up.
I mean, that does suck.
Yeah.
And so part and parcel to that, the dad's like, well, I guess you don't have to be Ryo's student anymore. Maybe if you want to be more like a woman, we can have Kaori take you under her wing.
To which Ryo's like, oh no, you don't want to do that, because Kaori will just teach her to be more like a man. And then he realizes he has said this directly next to Kaori, and he winces and he kind of tenses up like, oh man, I didn't really mean to say that right next to you. Please don't hit me, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. But she grapples him anyway. And all the now ex-Yakuza are like, yeah, Kaori!
Nipponichi, you're the best in Japan! As Get Wild starts playing. And that's the episode.
This arc is wrapped. Yakuza princesses, everybody. And now she's an ex-princess. No,
she's an ex-Yakuza princess.
Ex-Yakuza princess. But next time we're gonna get an actual princess from a fake land.
Yeah, we're going back to princesses next week.
Real princesses
Princesses
from fake
continue.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that sounds like a reality show. Real princesses from fake places. There's some good to be seen in this episode. Things about being able to accept people for who they actually are.
And also dads that realize when they fucked up their daughter's entire lives.
Like, he's got a lot of making up to do in more than one way for her.
Well, starting by disbanding an entire Yakuza family is actually a pretty good start.
Yeah, that helps. But also therapy.
Yeah.
Lots of therapy.
Yeah. Which I'm going to assume is in short order in Japan in the 80s.
Yes. So at the very least, pay for a trip to Maui for her or something. Let her go to the islands for a bit, to the Bahamas. Let her find herself.
Freedom.
Yeah, just basic ass freedom. Let her be free to be her. And also have a different change of clothes, because I imagine washing that kimono every day's gotta be tiring.
She's got one other change. No, she's got two, because she's got the purple one, the dark one, and also a cute mini skirt now.
Well,
so
she's got
go.
one change of clothes. Maybe she can borrow one of the Ghostbusters jumpsuits that Cowdy isn't wearing this week.
I guess so.
But yeah, next week, more princesses. That'll be fun. I actually remember liking that episode a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited. I always like seeing new fake land names.
The other thing we have to do, other than counting how many Mini Coopers we've gone through, is making a map of all the fake places that these princesses come from.
Right, exactly.
So, we'll get on that too.
Yeah. So, come back next time when we cover the 39th episode of the TV series, Princess from the Moon. Amnesia gives Rio headaches.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at Mars Girl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 38th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, we're both gonna be held at gunpoint.
Wait, how does that work?